After Stalin got rid of Trotsky, though Trotsky was still influencing Soviet politics through writing and publishing articles in exile, the troika between Lev Kamenev and Grigory Zinoviev and Stalin collapsed. If you're wondering what happened right after the death of Lenin until the forced exile of Trotsky, I've made a video detailing this succession struggle. Feel free to watch that video beforehand in order to understand the situation that Stalin is now operating in. A bit of context will not hurt because Stalin's new plan was to eliminate his rivals. He decided he had to establish his own faction as he figured he could not rely on alliances. He sought loyal followers. Consolidating his power in the years following Trotsky's exile was a prelude to the Great Purge, a period of arbitrary executions, show trials, and the elimination of Soviet officials, army commanders, former allies, and citizens. In 1925, 1 year after Lenin's death, several candidates put forward by Stalin were admitted to the Politburo, the most powerful governmental policy-making organ of the Soviet Union. Among these were Molotov, Voroshilov, and Kalinin. Stalin now had a majority faction in the Politburo and was ready to get rid of his former allies. In 1924, Stalin was already preparing to neutralize his allies. One of the methods would be to emphasize on both Kamenev and Zinoviev being international Bolshevists. They believed in a permanent revolution, akin to Trotsky's belief that a world revolution would ensure the victory of communism. Zinoviev was president of the Comintern, the international communist organization that was created in order to accelerate and support this revolution. Both him and Kamenev were active in international communist circles. Stalin, with Bukharin, developed his own counter-theory, socialism in one country. This theory propagated that communism in Russia could be realized without a world revolution. The years 1924 to 1927 saw the Comintern and its leaders Zinoviev and Kamenev suffer various severe setbacks. All the revolutions in other countries they supported became a total failure. Examples are the German uprising in Hamburg in 1923, Hungary under Bela Kun, and Latvia's War of Independence. Stalin exploited these failures in the international party struggle while emphasizing the attractiveness of his theory to nationalism among Bolshevists. Russian communism would not be dependent on the failure or success of foreign communists. Rykov, Tomsky, and Bukharin joined Stalin's party, and Zinoviev and Kamenev were repressed in the same way that Trotsky was repressed before them. Stalin's theory of socialism in one country provided the alleged reason to remove the remaining rivals from the Politburo once policies started to get implemented in the Soviet Union. Those that had just joined Stalin's party, bear with me here. So the construction of communism in Soviet Russia required rapid industrialization and modernizing agriculture, culminating in an assault on the traditional peasantry. During the new economic policy period, the policy proposed by Lenin in 1921 in order to modernize Russia, the peasants, especially the big landowners, the kulaks, were doing relatively well. Bukharin was responsible for this development, obviously resisting any party measures debilitating his success in this sector. Both the Politburo and the party discussed what should be done about the kulaks, yet no one considered a full frontal assault on the peasantry that only just started to produce enough grain, slowly recovering from the civil war. Around 1927, however, Stalin saw it essential to eliminate his remaining opponents, and collectivization was the only asset he had available to him at that time. It was discovered that in the future a massive shortage of grain would be imminent. Stalin accused the kulaks of treachery and fraud and promptly instituted the forced collectivization of Russian agriculture. The last years of the 20s were used to coerce the collectivization with special security detachments and deportations. The same policy would lead to the Holodomor in Ukraine, causing the deaths of between 4 and 7 million people. Bukharin, Rykov, and Tomsky contested the rigorous industrialization and collectivization proposed by Stalin. They were labeled the so-called right opposition. Stalin had prepared himself for this. he consolidated his position in the Politburo by having Kuybyshev and Rudzutak elected. Kirov, Kaganovich, Andreev and Mikoyan, all Stalin supporters, became candidates. Stalin's leadership was nearly uncontested. The right opposition attempted to unite all the elements within the party that were dissatisfied with Stalin. The Trotskyists and international communists were demoralized and disillusioned by this point, and the attempts by the opposition were to no avail. Bukharin, in a last attempt, performed a frontal assault within the Central Committee. His criticism against Stalin was rejected, and all the opposition was forced to resign from their party functions. They were forced to take back their words, acknowledge their past mistakes, and subject to the party discipline. Many chose to subject to the party discipline in order to prevent deportation. It became clear that it was only a matter of time before the opposition would be eliminated. Stalin achieved his goal in 1929. He was the successor of Lenin as not only party leader, but the leader of the Soviet Union. Around 1930, he had created the circumstances to materialize his ambition, a complete police state. Purges were nothing new in the Soviet Union. Party discipline and solidarity was maintained by eliminating unwanted members. Back in 1921, a Central Control Commission was created to purge the party of career seekers and bourgeois elements. By 1923, at least one-third of the party members had disappeared. Show trials were nothing new either. In February 1928, 50 technicians were accused of sabotage and espionage. 1930 was, among other things, marked by the Industrial Party trial, where several scientists and economists were accused of plotting a coup against the Soviet regime. Krylenko, the public prosecutor, would himself face trial and be executed in an ironic twist of fate during the Great Purge. The ironic twist was more of a rule than an exception, though, when the Great Purge took off. As often, the judges sitting on a case were to be locked up and executed themselves. Striking for the Great Purge was the magnitude and the extreme methods that were used. The causes were rooted in theoretical disputes between the party, especially the controversy between Stalin and Trotsky after Lenin passed away. Stalin wanted to have absolute power and assigned loyal supporters to positions of power, where all the while creating and fine-tuning a cult of personality surrounding the Titan leader. One could hardly expect the old Bolshevists to accept this myth. Times were troubled, people suffered under the strong discipline in factories, the mass deportations, famine, and devaluation. When the disappointment among the population reached the government, the party, and even the Politburo, Stalin started to fear for his position. At the height of the crisis in 1932, Trotsky, from his exile, published secret statistics only available to members of the government and repeatedly urged a change in leadership. In essence, he gave Stalin a lot of reason to be wary of his colleagues and subordinates. Smirnov, who handed Trotsky the statistics, and Ryutin, head of the propaganda bureau, were at the center of the dissatisfied. They, and with them other leading figures, were arrested by the NKVD, the secret police under Yagoda. Zinoviev, Bukharin, and other old leaders of the Communist Party were banned from the party. After they publicly acknowledged their mistakes, they were allowed to return, but distrust from Stalin's side was deeply rooted. These last two videos about the Soviet Union have elaborated on the power struggle that arose after the death of Lenin. Now that Stalin has managed to dispose of his biggest rival, Trotsky, he felt that he was surrounded by enemies within the Soviet apparatus, civil servants, soldiers, and officials that still saw Trotsky as one of the leading figures of the revolution, and his colleagues and former allies in the Soviet government that either worked together with Trotsky or wanted to grab power themselves. What followed was the Great Purge, purges throughout every layer of Soviet society, from the peasants and the industrialists all the way to Stalin's colleagues and former allies, the old Bolshevists that participated in the revolution of 1917. At the end of the Great Terror, every member of the 1917 Politburo would be tried and executed on trumped-up charges of conspiracy and treason. 14 out of 15 would be dead by 1938, only 4 dying of natural causes. Stalin would be the only one left. Next week we'll delve into how this happened, what happened, and what happened in the other layers of Soviet society. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to ask questions about the topic in the comments of the video, and I'll see you next Friday.
От Москвы до самых до краин, с южных гор до северных морей, человек проходит как хозяин необъятной родины своей. Всюду жизнь привольна и широка, точно Волга полная течет. Молодым везде у нас дорога, старикам везде у нас почет.